FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Command is moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot in the mid, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Tryna dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the words, or shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. This is a bottle of water I just filled up because I saw we have a comment from Jess Santo, which we're going to be reading later on today. So I want to make sure I had that ready. Jess, we saw the comment. Just a heads up. So this episode, we got the All-22 review of the last game against the Cleveland Browns. K-Dot's going to break that down for us. And we've got the preview of Game of the Year against the Baltimore Ravens. That's happening this Sunday, 1 p.m. NFL tried to flex it. CBS said, go fuck yourself. We are keeping those ratings. Thank you very much. So before we begin that video, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Sad day. So before I tell you guys the illustrious 3 words that I know you are all waiting for me to say, no Coach Gibbs Bible. This is a somber moment. But I just want to make sure everybody knows that if you see him, you give him the love that he deserves. Because a very special man is no longer a part of this team as of today. And I think you guys know where I'm going with this. I'll miss you, buddy. I'll miss you. You better be on a practice squad here soon, son of a bitch. Yeah. Don't go without me, okay? And then share that shit! Battle the Beltway, bitch!
Share this shit, please. We greatly appreciate it. And for what it's worth, and I'm not trying to start anything here, our backup quarterback now has fewer passing yards than the guy we just let go. So Sam Hartman, wherever you end up, we're thinking of you, buddy. So thanks for everything. He'll be in mine for a while too. All right, why don't we go ahead and get to everyone's favorite segment, where K-Dot has, once again, not 50, not 60, but 70 screens to look at last week's footage and go, what exactly happened from every angle so that you guys can better understand how this team functions. It's the All-22 review. K-Dot, over to you.
It's the All-22 review on District Divided. Bitches!
All right, so we are now at the All-22 review of the Cleveland Browns game. Once again, we won that game quite handily. The starters got to chill in the fourth quarter, which was great. And so K-Dot once again has reviewed all the film. And I will throw it over to you. You can start on either side of the ball, and it is over to you, K-Dot.
I'm going to start with our offense because I think that's where I had the most interesting stuff. And every moment that I get to spend not thinking about how the fact that I had to watch the Cleveland Browns offense all fucking day is a good thing to me. Jesus Christ. All right. Commanders offense. So I had some takeaways as I was watching the game. I know everybody, we were feeling really high, right? I came in here with the 3 shades, strobe lights, so we were feeling really, really, really good about it, right? As you said, the starters got pulled in the fourth quarter. That's the last time you seen that happen in Washington, right? I don't remember. I think Kirk Cousins might have been the last time that I've seen anybody.
Maybe.
Pulled, right?
And even then, maybe.
Whenever we made the playoffs or some shit, and he just wanted to hit a record or something. I don't remember. I don't remember exactly. But whatever. Regardless, this shit was impressive. At least what we were feeling afterwards. But I will say, the first note that I have, this was not as pretty as it seemed offensively. Look, man, Cleveland on defense had a damn good game plan against us, and they were in perfect position in a lot of situations to stop a lot of what we were doing. I think the overall onus was that Washington was just better. We were faster. We were stronger. We just played a more sound game individually, all these guys. Like what it really spoke out to me was that when we talk about this thing, I know Coach loves to talk about game breakers, right? Playmakers. What I saw with this team was that you had dudes that are kind of showing and flexing that they might have some abilities here, right? Jayden Daniels' ability to kind of get outside when you got a defender right there, like literally right there about to make the sack, and he could just turn out and then pick up 34 fucking yards out of nowhere, right? You got Austin Eckler able to make one cut, whatever, and just bounce for 50 yards and something. It's just Cleveland was in a lot of good positions. It's just sometimes they would over pursue some things, and just from a physicality standpoint, they just weren't able to make the plays. And I will say what has to be stressed more than any other thing, talking about the defense, about Cleveland's defense, is also Cleveland's offense, which was they didn't help them out at all. The failures.
Complementary football matters.
Was not existent. Like literally watching, I'll get to it, but it's like it felt like the Eric Bieniemy sort of thing last year where we're not playing the complementary football at all, right? So like you look at the Cleveland offense just quickly, 5 3-and-outs in the first half. The other drives, the total plays, 5, 6, 6, and 4. They couldn't sustain a goddamn thing. Okay. Oof. So the defense is right back out there on the field. Okay. Really, really sucks for them. Now, what I noticed with Washington, the reason I say it didn't look as pretty is that when you see some of the other games that we've had, as far as like the building, the steady momentum and getting better, right? Holistically overall, Cliff Kingsbury calling a good game. You could see what's working with the run and the pass, and it's kind of working in tandem. It didn't really feel like that when you're watching the game as far as the game flow. What it really felt like was that Cleveland was doing a pretty good job kind of getting it stopped where they needed to get it stopped. And then we just hit a big play. Now, I know that's all part of it, right? You got to have playmakers to do it, and that all gets put out in the wash. But when you're talking about going up against good teams week in and week out, potentially, you need to have a more cohesive offense and not rely just on big plays kind of out of nowhere. Because it wasn't really anything. It was just kind of like, all right, fuck it. Let's do it. So, like, I looked through some of the drives. So everybody remembers the first drive on offense, 3-and-out. The second drive is pretty dead until the 66-yard bomb to Terry, right? And then the first play, so on that drive, you get the first play was -3 yards. The second play was no gain. Then you got the 66-yard bomb. Then after the 66-yard bomb, you got a -2-yard quarterback sweep, then an incomplete pass, and then the interception. And it's like, okay, outside of that 66-yard play, was there anything positive that you could take from those two series? No, not a single thing. Then you look at the first touchdown drive. 34-yard drive. They took 325 time possession. Pretty damn good drive. No real criticisms or anything as far as that go. The next drive, a 3-and-out. The next drive that was the field goal, you had the huge 50-yard run by Austin Eckler.
Right.
Which he fumbles, but he then gets recovered by Zacchaeus, which talks about when it comes to how hard they were playing, right? Everybody's seen, I think it was Gruden did the breakdown where you see Zacchaeus.
Yeah, fantastic. Speaks to the culture that's being built.
It's fucking awesome. But what's the most important part of that piece is that even if Zacchaeus is not there, there are 3 or 4 other guys that are right there on the screen that'll pick up the fumble. It's that kind of shit, that effort, that playmaking that really, really helps us. The next drive that we have, we get 2 incompletions to start off the drive. Then Cleveland has 12 men on the field, which turns a 3rd and 10 into a 3rd and 5. Then we have to also convert a 4th and 3. And on that 4th and 3, Jayden takes off for a 34-yard run. Big chunk play. Then you get the 2 other plays, and then Brian Robinson's in the end zone for the touchdown. The next drive, Washington, a 2-minute offense. Cleveland, 2-minute offense. Everything looks different. They are able to get down the field. Then Cleveland goes 3-and-out their next drive, and then you get the 41-yard bomb to Nnamdi Brown. Third quarter, Terry has the fumble. Defense, or the Cleveland's offense can't do shit, holding to a field goal. We get the ball back. That drive, we get the ball back. The first drive outside the second drive of the third quarter is probably the best drive that we had the entire game, which was the yard, 4 minutes and 49 seconds.
Right, remember that.
But you had 2 23-yard completions and a 16-yard play. So some big chunks, but it was the most complete drive that they had. The last drive had the 33-yard Austin Eckler reception and the field goal, and that's the last time we see the offense there for Washington.
K-Dot, question for you. So let's talk about the quarterback here, right? Because again, we're here for Jayden Daniels' development. We want him to be the superstar franchise guy for years to come. Something we've seen in the past few games is that he has adapted and gotten better as the game has continued. Did that stick out to you as something that occurred again this past week?
Hard to say, because once again, I tell you, the best drive that I see comes in the third quarter, right? So one would say, okay, things got better. The offensive game plan and everything kind of developed. Maybe we were onto something. If he plays through the fourth quarter, we probably score 40-something, 50 points, right? So I don't know. But once again, there's only one more drive after that particular drive that was the best drive. So I'm kind of left saying that, yes, Still an upward trajectory overall, but I'm not entirely sure what's what. And it's
well, I was just going to say, and then it lends itself to the complementary football aspect of things, where Cleveland is in complete disarray. It's hard not to, from the human aspect of things, get an emotional. I don't know. It takes an emotional toll as a defense to have to keep trotting out there, knowing that even if you stop these guys, what are we going to do on offense?
Right. It's tough for them. Like after watching Washington's defense last year, I almost feel sorry for them. Like there's a little bit of me that was like, I was like, God damn. So it was like I'll read what I wrote as far as just what it is I felt about the offense overall, which is that this is not a negative indictment on Jayden and the Commanders. It just depends on how you read it. Against a more talented team, this performance probably would not happen. But they were clearly more talented in this case, and Jayden took good shots, and they outplayed them and connected on those big shots. So you can see it as a positive. They can overcome adversity through sheer will and talent, but how many teams can they do that against? And I think that's the question. We don't know just yet.
Okay. Well, again, we're going to find out this coming Sunday against a very, very good team in the Baltimore Ravens. Again, that preview to come. You want to flip sides of the ball and talk about the defense now?
Yeah, I can do this pretty quickly because fuck these guys. Watson was fucking terrible. There's no getting around it. He was bad. I will also say Cleveland, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. We told you in the preview episode, they don't like running the football. It was very evident in this game. They don't like running the fucking football. They just refuse to establish it at all to try to help him out. It was Deshaun. It's almost like they're telling Deshaun, we paid all this money for you. It's like they're poking him with a stick. Do something. We need you to do something. Be our fucking savior. Do it. We're not helping you. Do it. Do it, motherfucker. Like, it felt like that at certain points where you're just like, and he's clearly telling you every drive, I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. This shit was trash. They had some opportunities to actually run the football and they just didn't do it. 7 runs in the first half. That's it. That's all they called. Only once in the first half did they run with the same running back twice in a row. That's it. They just was like, all right, we're going to put this guy in. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I will tell you, when I keep bringing up the Eric Bieniemy offense, because I don't like that fucker. But the reason I keep bringing it up was that it was clear. Everything seemed so telegraphed. If you're the one to watch the defense, you know exactly when they were going to pass. More often than not, they were going to do that. But when they were going to run the football, you knew that was fucking coming. Might not have known what direction it was going to come from, but you knew they were going to run the fucking football. It's pretty fucking easy just to see. But as far as like looking at it from, I get all the shit was just bad as far as Cleveland goes, but Washington still stepped up and they took care of it. There weren't a whole lot of leaks and everything as far as that goes. If we're talking about upward trajectory, let's look at things like missed tackles. They cut that down tremendously. You could see that. The dudes are swarming around the fucking football. Frankie Luvu and Bobby Wagner and that tandem and what it is they were doing as far as, especially when they were blitzing, was a nightmare for Cleveland. What it is that you can see Dan Quinn's defense or Joe Witt's defense. I'll give it credit to Joe. Joe Witt's defense, you can see from weeks 1, 2, 3 compared to now, he's adding so many more wrinkles to what it is that we're doing defensively that you're kind of like, okay, he's kind of getting an idea of what it is he has, at least defensively. There were a lot more simulated pressure, simulated blitzes, a lot more. All right, Cleveland has no idea where it is the pressure is going to come from. They might drop everybody down the line, but only 4 guys are going to rush. They're not sure exactly which 4. If they're going to bring a 5th, they're not sure what side. Cleveland's offensive line might slide to one side, and Washington's like, Joe's wrong. We got Dorrance Armstrong coming on the other side. And it was like they could not communicate it. They couldn't do anything, but a lot of that happens with what it is they were doing defensively, schematically, to keep them off balance. They did not give them an out. So you got to give them credit for, you only play the opponent that's in front of you, and they did what it is they needed to do to really fucking do. You can see it in the fucking final score. They beat the dog shit out of them.
Right.
Like to me, the starters coming out on offense had much less to do with the offense than it did with the defense.
No, that makes total sense. I think we're in complete agreement about that. And even when we talked about this game in the preview episode, so now a couple episodes ago, we said, hey, this can be lost in the first quarter, but it's probably going to be tight. It's probably going to be cagey. And I think we saw that play out early on in the game, K-Dot, where we had 3 and outs. They had 3 and outs, and it was making sure we didn't get punched first. And thankfully we didn't. And then the complementary football or lack of it for Cleveland took over. We got to pull away. Confidence grew. I think that was what we saw.
I'll go a little further than that. They didn't have a chance. I'm telling you, like you could see after pretty much drive 2, it was over. Like it was clearly over. Like we've seen offenses in the NFL this year put up 3-4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Sure.
I think what you saw in this was like Dan Quinn, Joe Witt saying, dude, they can't.
No, I think right. And so I think our thing was like, okay, well, Deshaun could maybe punch us. He actually seems completely incapable.
It's
Just completely incapable. Like, congrats to the Eagles. It seems like ahead of time because they got them this Sunday. If that same Deshaun trots out, they'll need to score about 6 points to win that game. Like he looks horrible.
But see, that's the thing is the Deshaun Watson of it is the icing on the cake. It's the true icing on the cake. Look, I keep bringing up this fun fact from last year. Deshaun Watson was 5-1 as a starter for Cleveland last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Joe Flacco came in there and the offense was working better than it worked with Deshaun. But if you look at that, it's also because they were running the football more than they were when it came to Deshaun. It really does feel almost personal to a standpoint where, I mean, I don't want to get conspiratorial about fucking Cleveland at this point, but it is a fun story because fuck them. It's like, there is an element of like, they don't have an out from this. This is the worst acquisition in the history of the NFL.
Oh,
like,
there's no conspiracy.
Now, right?
It's a fact. You look at the contract and the dead cap, they're screwed. Yeah.
The conspiratorial part comes in with is like, they'd be better off with anybody else at quarterback, no doubt. But there's also a matter of if they called a game plan even slightly better than what they're calling, they could get much more out of Deshaun Watson. They're refusing to do it. They're just refusing to do it. They can run the ball if they choose to do that. They're just choosing not to do that.
I'm sure Browns fans aren't here, but this is probably the conspiracy they're looking for, which is that they're intentionally making their guy look terrible.
I think I'm going further. I think they're intentionally trying to get him hurt. I think they're legit trying to get him hurt.
I think you know what's sad is I think we have seen instances of that in the past. We've seen it here, in fact. So we know what that looks like, unfortunately. Any final thoughts before we move on to what people are here for besides this, of course?
I'll just give credit to the defense as a whole. I shouted out Bobby Wagner and Luvu, but I'd say the defensive backs had their overall best game, period, point blank. What they were doing as far as crashing down the line of scrimmage when there was any sort of short passes and making sure tackles, it was night and day. Quan Martin, all those guys, they were getting after it. They had their best day in coverage and their best day tackling. There were absolutely some cases when they brought the blitz, there were some dudes open as far as receivers, and Deshaun's missing those, or he just doesn't see it, or he's too worried about the pressure, or he's too worried about the simulated blitzes. But this was the coming out game for the Washington defense, and it has more to do not just with the Cleveland Browns and them sucking, but you can see the complexities of Dan Quinn's defense or Joe Witt's defense coming more to light. They are introducing more concepts, more wrinkles as weeks go on.
Yeah, that's very encouraging, and Lord knows we're going to need it again this week because we're going against a team that hosted the AFC Conference Championship game last season in the Baltimore Ravens. So why don't we go ahead and thank you, K-Dot, for that, and let's talk about the... Yeah, go ahead.
So I need to switch up the screens and stuff, but I want to do it smoothly. Can I play the video one more time?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right, so we'll have an intro, outro.
Love it. Go for it.
It's the All-22 review on District Divided. Bitches!
Boom! And that's how it's done. Great job.
We do it live! Live, bitches! Live!
This is how you know we don't edit it either. And so, yeah, listen. This is an awesome game. The 4-1 Washington Commanders are at the 3-2 Baltimore Ravens. It is a great opportunity to make a statement. It is a great opportunity to see where we're at as a team. There is a narrative that we have played teams that are not good. Some of it is true. Some of it I disagree with personally. But this is a great opportunity nationally to see what the Washington Commanders are all about. So let's go ahead and provide the context for the game as we always do in the form of the injury report. So K-Dot, if you could pull that up for us, please. Thank you very much. So as you can see, through Thursday, we got Phil Mathis, who's out with the this right now. I presume he'll be okay, but you just never know. Tyler Owens hasn't practiced the past couple of days. Brian Robinson, this is similar to last week where he didn't practice for a couple of days, but then all of a sudden he's got his helmet on Friday and he's good to go. You got Allegretti going from not practicing to being limited, which is big. Noah Brown being back could be big for this one as we talk about the Ravens pass defense later on. A number of limiteds and a number of fulls from there. I would assume that anybody limited at this point is going to play. The only person that maybe is at risk is probably Tyler Owens of just not playing at all. But everybody else seems to be all right on that front at the very least. Why don't we go ahead and flip it over to the Baltimore Ravens, where I think the big name here, K-Dot, is Broderick Washington, who starts on that defensive line for the Ravens. Then there's Arthur Millette, who Mahomes picked on. I still remember that from the AFC Championship game because I picked him to beat the Chiefs, and they just kept going after him. But he hasn't practiced past couple of days. The same thing with Malik Harrison and a backup guard over there. I'm not going to pretend I know that person. So those are the injury reports for both teams. We got some limiteds over there, but again, when I see limited back-to-back, they're probably playing unless they have like an IR window open, and that's not the case with these guys. So that is the injury report, and let's go ahead and talk about the Washington Commanders offense led by Jayden Daniels, the front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year, maybe in the MVP conversation. It entirely depends on the rest of the way, of course, but it's exciting times. How do we stack up against the Ravens defense? So K-Dot, as always, I ask, what is the best way to attack this defense? Go ahead.
One thing you said as far as in the intro, and anyone could argue whether or not we've played talented teams or not. What is sure is this is the best team we faced.
Yes.
There's no getting around that, okay?
Right.
So it's a litmus test. We'll see. As always, well, not as always, because I usually forget, but I'll start with the keys to the game. Look at that. I like 5 stars. You like 5 stars?
I love 5 stars.
Now, these 5 stars are kind of pointing in one direction above all other directions, which is saying that, looks like we should be able to pass the football against these guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at that, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You look at their rush defense, best in the league.
It's incredible, kid. I'll dive into each individual one after this, but go ahead.
You mean each individual game?
Yeah. In terms of I can do it now. Just Pacheco holding him to 45 yards on 50 carries.
I had it listed too. So
like Zamir, 24 yards on 9 carries. Zamir White, of course. There's Rico Dowdle. Like, okay, so those two, whatever. Those aren't names you necessarily know. James Cook is a talented back. 9 carries for 39 yards. They hold Josh Allen, by the way, 5 carries, 21 yards. That's the most the QBs run for against them. And then you got Chase Brown and Zach Moss. It's 3.8 yards a pop and 2.7 yards a pop. This defense is legit. Most yards they've given up to on the ground to anybody. Chase Brown, 46 yards on 12 carries so far. They're good. Go ahead.
They're damn good. Yeah, like you said, you gave the individual, like I like to say it's just summing up as far as what the team did. So, like, the most yards they've given up rushing on the year is for Buffalo at 81. The other 72, 27, 51, and 71
is real.
No one's sniffing 100 yards against these motherfuckers. Okay. So once again, you talk about the passing game. Like, they're ranked 30th in the league as far as passing, or it's either 30th or 31st. I forget.
31st.
31st. Yeah. Rough shit, but I will say I do think when actually looking at some of the film or listening to some of the guys up here in Baltimore talk about the pass defense, I think that there's a lot of frustration about this defense, especially when it comes to that aspect of it, because a lot of people are playing the comparison game to last year as far as this defense goes, right? Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot of new names. These are the same dudes. They're just as fucking talented as they were fucking last year, and they've added Nate Wiggins, my cousin. He's dope as shit. Like he's been doing a pretty damn good job, even if you're looking at the pass defense and like, oh, well, how can you say they're really doing a good job? I think when you're looking at the Baltimore defense, you're realizing more than anything, they're missing Mike McDonald, who's doing wonders up in Seattle, fucking wonderkin of defense. And the guy who should have been the dude that took his place was Anthony Weaver. He's gone too. So they got Zach Orr, who's like, wow, I didn't think that. Zach Orr's younger than me. He is now.
Is he that young?
He's younger than me. He's 34.
Oh, damn. This is in between us. We should have him co-hosting the spot.
Shit. But it shows, right? You got a defense that's kind of trying to figure out what it is they want to be. They know that they're pretty much selling out and being like, all right, we're going to stop.
He's younger than me, too. He's 32.
He's 32? Wow, I was wrong. I had him on for fucking 2 years.
Yeah.
Look, it shows, man. It does show on the defense. They're still learning stuff. I actually look at the Ravens defense. It reminds me of us to a certain degree, just probably more talented. You got a defense still trying to figure out who the fuck it is they are. And they do have some soft zone. When they play zone, there's a lot of soft areas in which you can kind of exploit. In man, they're better because they do have talented guys. And when they can just go out there and be fucking athletes, they can get the job done. I think what you're seeing more than anything as far as the pass defense was the issue is the pass rush. They're just not getting home. Like you got a guy like Kyle Van Noy who stood out last season, was like a journeyman dude. Nobody really took him all that seriously. And he becomes a stud for them. He's just not necessarily performing at the same level.
He's got 6 sacks on the season, though. So, like, he's having a nice year.
Not taking it away, but I'm saying that, like, overall, as far as the defense and the pass rush, you do got some room and you got some opportunity to potentially throw on them, right? But if you were to ask me what it is I think they should do as far as Washington, you got to try to run the ball. Like, you got to try. Like, even if you look at some of the teams and we're seeing as far as what the numbers were, as far as the output, as far as rushing, you still had some guys, if you look at like even the Bengals, they still ran the ball. It wasn't necessarily at the clip that they wanted, but you still got to run the ball to allow certain things to develop as far as the passing game. This game is going to be a lot on Jayden Daniels and a lot on what it is the wide receivers and everything can do. And while I do think you still have to run the ball to keep them honest, the same way that we did against Cincinnati in that Bengals game, which you looked at everybody's output, wasn't anything crazy, right? Against us, you had the 12 carries by Jayden, 16 for B-Rob, only 3 for Eckler because he had the concussion, had to leave. But they still had to maintain some semblance of run and get other things to kind of work off of it. Not necessarily what happened in the Cleveland game, but this is something that they got to you got to do it even if it's not fucking working because it can set up some other stuff, especially early on in the game. You got to kind of pick and figure out what's what. Yeah, I also think Jayden, as far as running the football, is definitely not going to have as easy a job as he does in a lot of these other games because you're talking about a Baltimore Ravens defense. All right, who's their quarterback? Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that's who they practice against. So they're not going to let you beat him that way. They won't allow it. If Jayden does that, then look, the level of athlete that he is, he's even going beyond that as far as leaps and bounds for me. But it's like you're talking about a Ravens defense that studies Lamar. And it's one thing they don't necessarily do is give up. Because I think I even have the stat there for it. Where is it? I don't think I have it, but I think it was like 4.6 yards a carry to run to quarterbacks overall.
Oh, it's light. I can pull that up for you almost immediately. It's small. I mean, again, I think it was Patrick Mahomes, 2 carries, 3 yards. Gardner Minshew, 1 carry, -1. I think that's just a kneel down, honestly. Dak Prescott, 2 carries, 7 yards. Josh Allen, 5 carries, 21. Joe Burrow, 2 carries, 1 yard. So that's even less than what you were suggesting. It's small.
It's bad. So I think, look, they're going to, once again, the pass defense, they're still trying to get themselves right. You're going to get opportunities there, and you need Jayden to take advantage of those opportunities. I think what's going to end up happening, because even when we look back as far as the keys of the game, you see a lot of stuff as far as like the intermediate passing. There's going to be some room to do some shit. I think this is one of these games where I think they're going to do everything they possibly do to potentially take Terry out of the game. But I think what it is that, like, it's going to be one of the other wide receivers is going to have to kind of step up. Another thing that Baltimore is kind of surprising that they don't do well, at least this season. They miss a lot of tackles. I think they're 3rd in the league as far as missed tackle rate. So this is one of those games where it's like if we play with the same energy we had in that Cleveland game, you can punch them in the mouth.
So that's where it gets interesting for me, K-Dot, because I completely agree with you. You need to run the ball on this Ravens team. I know it hasn't happened yet, but they also haven't faced a team that runs it as well as we do, I would say. Right. Dallas does not run the ball very well. The Vegas Raiders don't run the ball very well. Buffalo, I think, do, and credit to them. They had an excellent game against them. That happens. Cincinnati, not really a big run team. Kansas City, they use Pacheco, but, I mean, he was a 7th rounder. Like, I mean, you put those things into context and you go, you know what? We've got Jayden. We've got Brian Robinson, who I think will play. You've got Austin Eckler, and you've got Jeremy McNichols, who's also doing very well. Test him. Try him. Maybe you can, because that takes so much pressure off of Jayden. If all the pressure's on him, here's the other aspect of it. I know we saw all the 5 stars. The quarterbacks the Baltimore Ravens have played so far are Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Gardner Minshew. your boy. And so when you look at all those things, sometimes the numbers are misleading early on. I'm not saying that you can't throw on these guys. I think you can, just to be clear. But those numbers are all based on those quarterbacks. So it's important to note that when you see that they're 31st against the pass. They've gone against some of the best already, right? So just keep that in mind. And also keep in mind the flip side of it, which is that the running backs they've gone against, maybe not as good as the ones that we feel we have. And Jayden being able to make plays off of that should open up the short passing, because if I'm the Ravens, to be totally honest, K-Dot, I'm stacking the box. I'm trying to take away Terry as much as I can. Or even if I don't, yeah, I'll play man with these guys. They've got Terry and who else from my perspective as a Ravens guy, let's say.
Right.
Who else do they have that's going to beat me, right? Make sure they can't run. See what Jayden can do. I like our corners against these guys. That is what I think they're going to try and do. We need to be able to run on them. Go ahead.
I agree wholeheartedly. And just to back up as far as what you were saying with it, it's very important to understand who it is they face. And it's also very important to understand that some of those stats as far as the passing yards have got kind of skewed because of two matchups in particular, which is the Dallas game and then the Cincinnati game last year. So Dallas was down early. Like, hold on, what am I trying to say? We're down early. Yeah, that's it. They were down early.
28-6, they were down. Yeah.
It put them in a situation where they had to throw the ball. Dak threw the ball 51 fucking times in that game, right? So they abandoned the run. It was just about throwing the fucking ball. You're going to get yards eventually if you're throwing the ball that fucking much. And then Joe Burrow had this just next level fucking game, which is, Joe Burrow, when he's healthy and he's playing at his peak, top 3 quarterback in the NFL. 5 times, that's what you're getting. And then as far as the talent that they also have a wide receiver, I know we're all sniffing around fucking T. Higgins coming to the trade deadline. There's a reason. Like there's an aspect of these are some of the most potent offenses that they're going to face. And then, like I said, you have a Ravens defense that is installing a new system. They clearly have talented guys. We've seen they have talented guys. They just haven't necessarily flipped that light switch yet. So it's like one of those things where you got to just respect them. Don't take anything for granted. But I do agree with you. And that's been their game plan pretty much all season. They're very disciplined, which is another thing. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They can get beat, but they don't make a lot of mistakes. Sometimes the zone can just be soft coverage, and that's part of the play design. That's part of the defensive design. They're susceptible to big plays. Like I said, as far as the missed tackle rate and everything else, it's going to be a lot of, like I said, short passes, things like that. I think they're going to stack that box really, really early. So when it comes to Washington and how important it is in our drives, like I said, the Cleveland game, if you really watch it, is an outlier except for 1 or 2 drives, period, as far as what we usually do when it comes to getting a good down and distance early on in our series and then allowing us to have the full breadth of what it is we want to do offensively. There wasn't a lot of that in the Cleveland game. You can't afford to be in a situation with Baltimore where you're behind the 6 on 3rd down every fucking time because they're going to fucking come after you. And then you got a problem. But you need to be creative in the sense of like where it is that we get those yards from. You see a lot of success as far as us over the course of the season, a lot of screen passes. I think you're going to see a lot of that shit, a lot of keeping guys on the edge. It's just this is a game where you got so many guys just testing things. This is going to be a chess match between our coaching staff and their coaching staff to try to see what it is they can exploit or what it is they're going to let anybody kind of get away with as the game goes on.
And if you want to see the game within the game, guys, I highly recommend looking at Tyler Biadasz and our guards and Allegretti and Cosme. How do they handle Nnamdi Madubuike, right? Formerly Justin. Like that is if we're getting push on him, I kind of like our chances. Like, honestly, I think all of a sudden things can change for us. All of a sudden we can get in that second and short that we are trying to get to, and we can dictate rhythm because as we flip the script, any final thoughts here, K-Dot, before we flip?
No, we can flip.
All right, let's flip. Because as we look at the other side, guess what? The Ravens run the ball just as much as us, if not a bit more, right? So we talk about time of possession and something that we like to do, which is control the clock to help our defense out. Well, guess what? You may not have many chances against a Ravens offense that runs the ball better than anybody. So they run it a lot, and they run it better than anybody. I don't know if you've heard of a guy named Derrick Henry. He's having a pretty good season. It looks like it's working just fine. Who would have thought? So this is going to be really, really tough because we've yet to stop the run fully. I know I said last week that I think we did a good job early on, and I maintain that's true. But K-Dot also mentioned in the All-22 review, They also had the run and just didn't. So this is a huge test for our Commanders defense. What would you do here, K-Dot, against this Ravens offense?
First off, I got to clear something up. You call him a guy. Look, Derrick Henry is clearly a Mack truck dressed up as a human being. Okay, we just got to keep that. You got to keep that a buck. All right. As always, keys. Oh shit. That's Chris Moore, guys. Yeah. Pretty similar game plan, honestly. So, like, look, man, it's an impo. Look, what do they always say? You can't stop them. You can only hope to contain them.
Yes.
You got to stop the run. You got to try. Like, look, they're gonna run on us. You can't. I'm sorry. I love Bobby Wagner. I love Frankie Luvu. I love the energy I saw in the Cleveland game. I love seeing what it is we're doing on the defensive line. I love all of that. They're gonna run the football on us. Mm-hmm. Accept it. But what you need to do, like, here's I think they're already over 1,000 yards as a team.
It's insane. They're up there. Yeah, it's crazy.
They're on. I think the stat was 38 games in a row with 100 yards rushing. They are averaging 6.1 yards per run on first down. They're gonna run the ball. And they're going to be able to. What you have to do if you're Washington, this is where the energy and everything comes into. You can't let Derrick Henry turn a 6-yard run into a 50-yard run. That's the key. And it's going to be hard as fuck to do it. The gang tackling that we saw in Cleveland, you're going to need all of it. All right? Everybody needs to be in the picture for this fucking game. You cannot let Derrick Henry beat you for 50 yards at a chunk or even 20 yards at a chunk. He's going to get his 5. There's nothing you can do about it. You're going to try, and you're going to try, and you're going to try. And it's the best game plan. I know this sounds fucking stupid because we haven't even mentioned the other guy, which is Lamar Jackson.
I know. We're just focused on Derrick.
But literally the game plan has to be, and I know this is going to sound fucking ridiculous. You have to let Lamar try to beat you.
No, you're 100% right. You are 100% right. You stack. Same thing we said about if I'm a Ravens guy, this is what I want to do. It's the same being a Commanders guy. Stack the box and make Lamar beat you as a passer. It's reality. That's what you need to be able to do against this Ravens offense. I know it's scary, but it is sort of a pick your poison. And if I have to pick, it's Lamar throwing the ball versus him running and Derrick Henry getting the lanes that he's been getting.
Easily. Not only can you not allow that to happen because you look, once again, we're in a situation where it doesn't look like our offense is going to be able to run the ball the way that we want them to if we're just looking at everything going into the game, right? Who knows? Because once again, this is a big test for everybody, I think, in this game. We know Baltimore is probably better than us, but how much better than us? This is what we're getting. Are they in that zone that we can take them, right? And I think that they're in that zone, but it's like, this is the grand test of it all. You got to try to let Lamar beat you. And that stat, as far as the rushing, it was actually a stat I had for Washington as far as what Washington does defensively against running quarterbacks, which is that we give up so far this season 4.3 yards per carry to quarterback. Okay. And we have an experience. We've gone against Baker Mayfield. We've gone against Kyler Murray. We've gone against Daniel Jones. Those aren't bad. Those are pretty good scrambling fucking quarterbacks. Absolutely. They can get some fucking yards. They pale in comparison to the motherfucker that we got coming up in Lamar Jackson. He will make you fucking pay. He will make you pay.
He may stiff arm you.
Jesus, that fucking play, man.
It was crazy.
That play. You can't even put it in a video game. Like if that happened in a video game, you throw your fucking controller through the TV.
Got a feel for Bengals fans who have seen arguably play of the year from both quarterbacks featured in this game at their place. I mean, it's brutal. And they have Joe Burrow. Like, it's just brutal.
As it's sitting there wondering if they acknowledging they're probably sellers at this fucking time come trade deadline. You're welcome. Look, Lamar, because this the thing is like when you start watching more of the Baltimore Ravens, you start kind of thinking, that kind of sounds like us. They just have guys that are more experienced and more known as good at certain positions than we do. The jury's still out on Jayden Daniels. Nobody's questioning Lamar Jackson. Maybe they question him in the playoffs, but they ain't questioning him in the regular season.
Right.
Brian Robinson seems like a dog. We like him a lot. He ain't Derrick Henry. So like the whole thing, but when you look at it, Another thing that Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens do, and this is the reason you force them to pass, you're just trying to stack the deck in your favor, right? So what Baltimore also does is if they can't run the ball at the clip that they want to, which is something that they couldn't even do necessarily against Cincinnati last week. You had Derrick Henry had 15 carries for 92 yards. You're like, oh, whoa, that's a good stat line. That includes the 51-yard fucking rush, right? So if we're looking at overall, they did what they could to try to stack it up against them and like, hey, Lamar's got to beat us. Lamar's got to beat us. What also helped was they kept scoring on offense, which forced Baltimore to be like, all right, we got to be in a pass situation. We got to fucking pass the ball. But the thing with Lamar in that offense is they also rely on really big plays. They don't get into the same rhythm. It's a lot of what it is I saw at Washington last week. It's not that like this play is leading and this play and this play is leading this play. It's, hey, we had 2 plays that didn't necessarily work out our way, but then Lamar on third down can fucking scramble out to the right, make somebody miss, and then find somebody leaking or open for a fucking 40-yard gain. He will eat you up with that. And I'll take it all day long. And the reason I take it all day long is it's still your best fucking shot. Like, you got to get pressure on him, but you got to be disciplined with the pressure. You got to play discipline. You can't let him leak out the way he wants to leak out, right? You got to maintain that pressure. And then the cornerbacks, you got to fucking keep it. The other thing that the Ravens offense is that at any given day, you know what Lamar does, you know what Derrick Henry does. But every week it seems like they got somebody else that fucking steps up and they do shit with.
Yeah, Justice Hill is good too. Right. Justice
Hill falls in that category as far as the Ravens. It feels as though every week picks one guy that they say, we're going to beat you with him. It might be Zay Flowers. It might be Isaiah Likely. Mark Andrews hasn't had his day yet. It might be Zay Flowers. It might be Justice Hill. They usually, what they do, and this is where you got to give him credit as far as offense, Todd Monken and what it is he's doing, at least early on in the game, he sees what it is he can exploit on you, and he will nail you into the fucking dirt. It's why you see those, like, Isaiah Likely will have a game where it's like his reception, you're like, what the fuck? Did they run the whole offense to him? Yeah, because it was working. Justice Hill, what the fuck is his stat line? Yeah, it was working. So, like, if you allow one of those dudes to kind of get off, and this is where it goes in that chess match. Joe Witt did a great job last week as far as disguising some things, doing it. If they look like they want to exploit the Isaiah Likely thing, what are you going to do in game to take that away from them? Because we know they're going to want to keep going back to that. You got to take it away from them. Because you know what Lamar will do? He's going to force it. And if he forces it, get some opportunities. And it's the best shot you got.
Yeah, man, this is going to be one hell of a test for our defense. I'm looking forward to seeing what ends up happening over here. Any final thoughts before we go to the prediction here, K-Dot?
I'm terrified.
Yeah, cool. Good. That naturally segues into our predictions for the game over here. And so we've got a spread where the Commanders are underdogs on the road by 6.5 points, and the over-under is at 51.5. So K-Dot, as always, I need a score, I need a winner, and I need a player of the game.
Because I am so fucking up in the air with what the results could potentially be of this game, if you told me that either one of these teams could blow each other out, I could buy it. I could see that. I can actually see an avenue in which that happens. I'd absolutely say that Baltimore has a better shot than we do to do that, but it's a possibility. What I'm really looking for is, I think, usually games never really live up to the hype, right? Like, usually most things don't live up to the hype. I think this one will. I think this, and what we're saying, I live here in Baltimore. Look, I am a proud native Washingtonian. Got my flat. I can't figure out the game.
I was able to see it, but that's because I know. Yeah, anyway.
But I live here in Baltimore. And the thing is that you have two teams that are a stone's throw away from each other. And yet it never really felt like we had the rivalry that should exist.
Yeah.
And I think on Sunday, it begins. It really begins. The Jayden Daniels, Lamar Jackson being primetime. The NFL trying to figure out the schedule to make sure that this is on the fucking calendar every year. This is where we're at. So you know what? I'm buying in. I'm buying into the hype. This is going to be an all-timer. So give me a final score. 42 to 38 Ravens.
Oh. Yeah, I love that, though. 42-38 would be an epic game.
A shootout. And my player of the game It's time. It's time. Luke McCaffrey. You need somebody else other than Terry, man. That yak and that shirt.
Yep.
You're gonna need a safety valve.
He's been getting a lot of separation, man. He's been open. We've talked about these in the all-22s that you've been doing, K-Dot. The man is open. Could this be the week he breaks out? So 42-38 for K-Dot over there. For me, I'm not going to lie, guys. I flirted with picking us. I did, because the energy around the team is infectious. It's electric. I buy into the chemistry fully, and I want to see just how far that can take us. I also believe Jayden Daniels is that dude, and he could, and oh my goodness, if he does, he could single-handedly win this game. I think he's got it in him. That's why you take him at pick 2. That's why I thought he was the best quarterback in the draft. With that being said, K-Dot, if we were to win this game, honestly, 2 things come to mind. 1, opening coin toss, receive. If you win the toss, receive it. Because if you can get a 2-score lead on these guys, even if it's 10-0, we've seen Todd Monken in the past sort of abandon the run. Just start chucking it. That'd be great. So I would say receiving the ball is low-key very important, and just hope that works out. And the second thing is, even if you think the game is over in the fourth quarter, the Ravens have had some lapses mentally here and there. You can still take advantage of that. So even if we're down 20-something, I could see it being close. So I have a score of 34 for Baltimore, 31 for the Commanders. I do think that we are going to be able to keep it close. I do think it lives up to the hype. If I have less faith in one of those scores, though, it's the 31 for the Commanders, and that could be lower. But we'll see. I am very, very excited for this game, because it almost feels like a free game where we can figure out, K-Dot call it litmus test, like, where are we? Who are we? I think we find out this Sunday, and that's really exciting. So K-Dot and I both have the Ravens winning, but in a close one. That's already a lot of progress. So we're going to go ahead and see what happens.
I think that's the thing that I think everybody needs to come to terms with as far as this game goes, okay? Look, if we win this game, this pod changes.
Yeah.
The pod absolutely changes, because then you start looking, look, you're not, once again, we're not the players in the locker room. We just talk about the team. And what we're going to do is look at the rest of this fucking schedule and then realize double-digit wins is a distinct, very big possibility as long as they're healthy.
It would be a probability if we won this game.
Yeah, we're this, once again, it changes, okay?
Right. Yeah.
If we get blown the fuck out, 44-0, if we get the doors blown off of us, it's still good. It's still good. I don't take any negative from
it.
No,
44 0?
I shit you not. Because it just depends on how it looks. And to me, is like, if somebody were to tell me, okay, why did that happen? What happened with 44-0? Why did that happen? To me, it's one of those things where I look at this coaching staff, I look at Jayden Daniels, and I'd say it would never happen again. We'd have anything close to it happen again. Because what I see with this team is a team that learns from their mistakes. They're able to pinpoint exactly what went wrong with everything and then work on that shit. While I do not, look, I'm going to have my nephew here who's a Ravens fan watching the game with me. I might punch the shit out of him if it gets 44-0. But I might be in a prison cell. Who fucking knows? But I'm saying the lessons that are going to be learned against playing a team, especially an offense of that caliber, are vital. Jayden Daniels, as far as his trajectory, is doing things that we could never have fathomed.
He's breaking records.
That being said, what I also think that line is showing is everyone is anticipating what typically happens, which is he's going to have a bad game. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. So, like, at the end of the day, what it is that how it is you feel about this game, it's good. This experience that they're getting as far as that litmus test is the most important part of it. I thought Cleveland was going to be a really good test for us. It was They couldn't play complimentary football. This one right here, this is a fucking test. You should love this shit. If you get to go up against one of those Super Bowl contender motherfuckers and see where it is that you're at, you love these moments. You love these opportunities to learn something. This is great shit, regardless of the fucking outcome. But once again, if we do win this bitch, things are going to be a little different. If you thought you saw the energy level It's going to get different. All right? That's all I'm
Make
saying.
a full A train. I mean, like it's going to go crazy if we win this game.
Demonetize the fucking channel again. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna be on something else.
Oh man. Anyway, let's jump over to bet of the week before we get to comment mailbag time. So K-Dot, over to you. What is the bet of the week this week?
Commanders plus 6.5. I think this line is absolutely saying that the public generally thinks that we are probably going to get the doors blown off us, at least to some degree. I think a lot of people are looking at us as like the trendy pick, this, that, and the other. I'm picking us to cut. I do think that this, like, if I'm looking, like I said, I can look across all the sums of everything. And I just love the value. 6.5. I think this could be close. I think this could be a shootout. Everything and all the numbers and everything are kind of pointing in that direction. Like, even if it is that they're running the football, one would think it probably means that Derrick Henry has multiple 50-fucking-yard runs. So, like, at the end of the day, it's a shootout regardless, okay?
Yeah.
So, like, I think that that's what we're looking at. And if we get into pure shootout territory with the way, even looking at that Cleveland game, that we can score and they can score, I don't think one team is going to be able to pull away from the other. I just don't think that'll be the case.
Okay. Well, I mean, even if, and here's the nice thing. So even if the Ravens do pull away early, again, you have that fourth quarter that you got to keep in mind.
Dallas.
Just historically, they struggle with it. Vegas, they lost a game they shouldn't have, and that was at home, by the way.
They should have lost the Cincinnati game.
There you go. They were down 10. You know, like they should have lost that game. So there is a team that could potentially be had over here. So you could, at minimum, get a backdoor cover when you look at that 6.5.
No doubt.
And the other point I'll make is that these big underdogs have been excellent against the spread this season. So Vegas has been a bit wobbly in that regard in terms of setting the line so far. Could they correct? Sure. But last week, for example, the Commanders were 80+% of the money. And typically when that happens, you go, wait a minute, are we in trouble? Nope. Right. We just blew the doors off of the Cleveland Browns. And right now the money's on us again. So we're going to go ahead and see what happens over there. And now we go over to everyone's other favorite segment, the comment mailbag. But of course, we got to be introduced by our very own Nikki. I should have known.
I need to see his face one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I miss you, Sam.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
Thank you as always, Nikki. Appreciate that. And thank you, Sam, once again, for everything. We begin with Junior Nemhard, 2873. Shout out. The Commanders put belts to asses today. Hashtag HTTR, hashtag HTTC, hashtag raise hail. And they most certainly did against those Cleveland Browns. Again, 34-13. Just whoop that ass. It felt great. It felt great. Yeah. And now we are 4-1. Going against what you say.
Enough he didn't hear it. Now I'm good.
No, dude, you got to say it now.
I think Deshaun's a fan of that.
We go to Tony. Shout out, Tony. A Monday morning surprise for my commute. Thanks, guys. The Ravens might be in trouble next week. IJS. I'm just saying. K-Dot, have you seen the new Joker? I heard it was ass. Thoughts? No spoilers, though.
I have had tickets to see Joker Folio Do 5 times in the last week, and I've canceled every opportunity. I'm afraid to go watch that movie because I think I'm going to be upset. But I will say, the first movie I thought was fine. Joaquin did Joaquin shit. I'm a huge fan of Zazie Beetz.
He's good, man.
Do anything to me. That being said, the discourse around the movie was dog shit, and I really hated it. And I also think majority of the best things about that movie were things that I've seen in other movies, be it Taxi Driver or King of Comedy. I'm lukewarm about it. I love Lady Gaga. But from what I understand or I've been told about it, because I didn't really care about spoilers when it came to this particular movie, it's going to be a watch. It's going to be a rough one.
Okay. So those are K-Dot's thoughts on the Joker. I've actually seen it, Tony. So if you want to ask me next time, I'll tell you.
I do have tickets to see Terrifier 3 tonight, but I think I'm going to cancel the watch Thursday Night Football.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go.
Have you heard of Terrifier?
Of course not. Tony has another comment, K-Dot, and it's largely directed at you. Is K-Dot high? Has he been high this whole time? Had he been deflecting this whole time? Is K-Dot the one that needs to be saved? Is K-Dot the diddler of cocaine?
Whoa.
Washington is a legit 4-1. That's what it says. We have an Eagles fan here every week circling around scavenging for hot take scraps, and K-Dot was sneaking booger sugar this whole time. My whole world is flipped turned upside down. I don't know what's real anymore. Tony, behind the curtain, congratulations. We were wondering when someone was going to figure that one out. K-Dot?
Pull the curtain back a little bit. Before this episode started, I was telling Amit here that I'm in therapy. As I'm down here with the 70 screens in a dark basement, I got blood work done, and apparently my vitamin D level was the lowest I'd ever seen in a human being. So I'm now doing things that give me energy. I don't know how to deal with that. So like I'm a little out there. So like even before the episode, I looked at my hand, I'm shaking, and it's just vitamin D. Like it's like I mean, like what the fuck? Like also I got a CPAP machine finally, so I'm sleeping.
Oh,
even
nice.
Though the new
That's
meds
huge.
Dude, I don't know what it's like to be a normal human being. And what it might mean is that everybody's gonna be like, yo, go back to whatever the fuck it is you were doing. Okay. But
We liked you before.
yeah, I'm not look, I'm very I've had a troubled past with certain things, which is why I can spot when other people have problems with certain things. So no deflecting. I know who I am. All right. I know. And I've been saved. Okay. I've been saved. I saw the light. Coach Gibbs came to me in the dark when I was at my darkest, and he said, son, you need to watch the 82 Redskins tape. And I said, okay, Coach Gibbs. And I did that. And I realized, Ringo 44, woo, woo. And I realized I got something to live for. I got something to live. I don't need no booger sugar. No booger. These nostrils are clean, son. They clean. But I got that vitamin D. Not the dirty kind. I'm just regular vitamin D.
I think he's got a good amount of vitamin C as well, Tony. That's K-Dot talking, not K-Train over there. So anyway, please continue.
Yeah. I'm done.
Oh, yeah. All right. Sounds good. K-Dot is done. K-Train just getting started. We go to Big Papa Grizzly.
This is not going to work. You're not going to
I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it did. It hit the ground with a whisper. If this is what a bad game from Jayden Daniels looks like, there is no stopping this offense. With our outstanding running back room, we will continue to steamroll defenses into the turf. I stand by my statement that this is the best all-around running back room in the league. The defense has stepped up big time, and I think it's legit. We have a team. We have a team, is what Big Papa Grizzly says there, K-Dot. Your reaction?
Under no circumstances would I say the Browns game was the worst Jayden Daniels game. I would say overall, as far as what it is they're trying to do as far as an offensive philosophy and their output on what it is they're putting in, it was probably one of the worst games of the season as far as the overall thing. But Jayden Daniels, as far as seeing the big plays and taking advantage of the big plays, is still a leap forward in his progression personally. So you got to take that into account. As far as the running back rooms and it being the most talented, I'd agree with you to a certain degree, but I think that also comes with the system and everything else. After the Cleveland game, I'm kind of like, but once again, it's all things holistically. Like I'd say from a pure talent standpoint, I think the New York Jets have the best running back room probably in the league.
Yeah, Braylon Allen's great. Breece Hall is awesome, but Breece is struggling this season so far.
Well, no, they're just dumb.
Mm.
They're just fucking stupid.
Yeah, well, no, that's true. Let's see if Todd Downing can save the day. We go over to Earl Bruce. Shout out Earl Bruce. And by the way, Big Papa, love the comment there. Earl Bruce goes, enjoy every win, guys. The new era is here. Josh Harris is the man. I will say this. There was a moment where they panned over to a smiling Josh Harris on the sideline. I'm sure you remember that too, K-Dot, where we're up big. I think the score is 34-6, and he's just smiling. And I just audibly, no one's around me. I just go, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, it's just me. And I'm just looking at my TV going, thank you. Like, this guy has changed our sporting lives. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Go ahead, Kevin.
Adam, if I see I got chapstick and throat numbing.
Go to Coach.
Vitamin
Coach
D.
That was good. Coach goes, Becca is my favorite ex from college. Think Joey Potter with a nicer ass. I was wondering if it's Joey Porter, but is Joey Potter somebody that we should know about?
I prefer you're saying it's just.
I don't know.
No, that's Katie Holmes and Dawson's Creek.
Oh, that's Joey Potter? Oh, that's a person, huh?
That's
well.
hold on. Do you know who Katie Holmes is?
No, I know who Katie Holmes is. Yes.
Okay. All right. Just saying.
Yeah, I know actress. Yeah. I know Katie Holmes.
So she played a character named Joey Potter in the TV show.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe it was Joey Potter.
Was that the show? For our lives to be over, I want to know right now, when will it be? Yeah, and
Joey Potter. I learned something new today. And Ken Johansson is a Washington content creator, so that's who Ken was. Just
got it.
Okay, so that is Becca and Jen. Becca and Jen. I'm still thinking about Jen. I appreciate that. Becca,
Joey Porter.
Joey
Porter or Jerry Porter?
Joey Porter is what I said. Joey Porter. Didn't even ask junior or senior. None of that. We go over to Mr. Payne, 134 shout out. Now we need to beat Baltimore. I feel the defense will keep getting better as the season progresses. This will be the biggest test, but I feel we will conquer the Ravens. #raise hail. It's going to be a great game. I mean, I really do believe, like K-Dot said, that this is going to live up to the billing, and it should be a great game. So hopefully we do end up beating the Ravens again. K-Dot's got us losing by 4. I've got us losing by 3, but I mean, both very, very high scoring. We cover, could go either way. Any thoughts?
The wins and the losses this season, like I said, they're all learning opportunities. We are way ahead of schedule. Do I love the idea of us competing in the playoffs and being one of those dangerous teams in year 1? Fuck yeah. Because in all honesty, I heard Benjamin Solak said this, and I agree with it. And I wouldn't necessarily think of it in this context. Everyone knows it's extremely important. I think it's a little overrated, but most people agree that once you have the quarterback, the clock's a ticking.
Mm-hmm.
Is that contract and that money?
Right.
I think we already know we got the quarterback, so the clock's already on.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think you see what Houston did, for example. They immediately start, tooling up to make sure that they can go on a run. Josh Allen, before he got paid, they got Stephon Diggs. They try and go this happens. This is just part of the process. So we'll see what ends up happening. Trade deadline and free agency over here.
I want to win, but just I'm cool. I'm cool, man.
Yeah. Year 1, I want us to figure out who we are fully, and then you do what you want to do. I trust our front office and ownership here. Sean Henderson goes goats. Could be in reference. See, it's all lowercase though, so it's the animal. And so I was trying to figure out what that was. Could be in reference to the team because they played great. Could be in reference to us because it's a comment here. I don't know.
Yeah, go with
Goats from Sean Henderson. Yeah, let's go with that one. We go over to Brendan Nichols. K-Dot, how well did JJ McCarthy interview this week? I get the feeling this is going to be a thing for quite some time.
And I get a feeling that he should suck a dick.
All right, cool. Brendan, appreciate your support as always.
We
go over to Blood Clot. Shout out Blood Clot.
You know what's really annoying about that too? I talked to that motherfucker for like 90 minutes today. He was a mirage, an oasis in a desert of watching Cleveland Browns offensive tape. And all he did was give me shit. You know what? Fuck you, man. Fuck you. I want to say nice things about you. Fuck you, dude. If you're going to keep doing this shit, I already explained. I'd like Ahmed to stop reading that shit. But he won't. You know why he won't? Because his fucking fantasy team name is also trolling me on his fucking thing. It's a coup. It's bullshit. It's fake news.
I didn't even bring up fantasy football. I never said I beat you in it, which I did. I could have, but I didn't.
Damn it, you son
okay,
of a bitch.
And now you walked into that. See what happens? That one's on you. We go over to Blood Clot.
Half the fucking teams in that league either have profile photos or names because of me. So I'm responsible for all this shit, okay?
Yeah, no, from the narcissistic perspective, this is great for you. We go to Blood Clot.
I don't like the tables being turned, you son of a bitch.
I need to go back to this has honestly been a very fun episode for me. I'm really enjoying myself. He goes, when Deshaun Watson walked off the field, he looked like he was giving up and heading to the lockers. He literally gave up. The look on Stefanski's face, he was like, are you serious? It was 4th down, and he was about to go for it. Jayden is lighting up this entire locker room. He's elevating the defense because I think Jayden surprised his own team. They probably thought it would be a tough rookie grind, not breaking NFL records. He's headed towards Offensive Rookie of the Year and at least being mentioned into MVP. If he's able to do those two things, he'd accomplish something no one has done except Jim Brown. It's fine if he doesn't, but he elevates everyone around him. This is the culture the organization has been starving for. K-Dot, I also noticed Luke being completely wide open at least twice. I've seen McLaurin wide open once, but with experience, he's going to see these more. I read this somewhere, but Myles Garrett had 0 stats, 0 sacks, 0 pressures, 0 tackles. The offense took care of him. And that's the comment from Blood Clot. Just a quick note on Deshaun walking over. They did explain that there were 12 men in the huddle. Amari Cooper also counted them out. And Stefanski, I think, was as disgusted knowing that they were about to get a penalty if they did not take the timeout over there. And I think they ended up taking the penalty because the timeout was more valuable at that time. And so that's what ended up happening over there. But other than that, I mean, he's right. I mean, Jayden's been awesome. He's elevated his game. He's elevated the game around everybody else. He's breaking NFL records. Absolutely fabulous so far. And shout out the offensive line for completely silencing Myles Garrett last Sunday.
100%. Yeah, the only thing I was going to clear up was the I will say that Deshaun's body language wasn't great on it, but I can understand the frustration. Also, if you're getting your ass whooped the way he was getting his ass whooped, I also understand some not necessarily the most positive body language.
Oh, yeah. No, that's totally fair.
Trying to kill him.
When you said it, I kind of was like, you know what? I could see that. We go over to Blood Clot again. I heard this on one of the sports channels, and we know how early Jayden comes to work. Cliff was drawing up some plays on the whiteboard when he thought he was the only one in the building, only to have Jayden pop his head in and say, "What are you working on?" I love that. The kid loves football, loves it. The coaches, GM, owner, Jayden, the players are pulling this fan base from the abyss. Where my dogs at? That is the comment from Blood Clot. That's a beautiful story. Get out your reaction.
Wonderful story. I've been loving all the I feel like everybody has a trailer or a hype video for this fucking game.
Yeah.
And there was one in particular where you see Jayden as a kid kind of growing up and going through all the steps and everything. That is one thing you will start realizing is like it's purely genuine. That dumbass smile is pure elation and joy that he just loves playing the game. And like that part of it, when you have that as you're like the face of the franchise, coupled with a Dan Quinn who loves teaching and loves coaching, you hear like the Joe Witts and everybody else. It's wonderful when things all come together. It's an amazing thing. I love that we have a team. I think Dan Quinn even said, somebody said this. I saw some link, something on Twitter about somebody said it wasn't a rivalry between Washington and Baltimore. Baltimore is who we want to be. We want to be an organization like Baltimore. And I'm like, I like that. That is a longtime Washingtonian and now Baltimore resident. I do care about the rivalry.
Yeah. No, it's going to be an awesome game on Sunday. And to your point, Kate, that's something you've been saying for a while. You want to be built like a Baltimore. So it's good to see somebody else echo that as well in the building. We go over to the Nathan Perry shout out. Nathan Perry with a couple comments here. The first one, K-Dot's slow realization to his Game of Thrones fantasy was comedic gold. I had to full stop what I was doing to laugh with him. I too thought, oh no, that scene is problematic when he mentioned it. So for him to also think that was just especially funny for me. That is the first comment over there. Care to react to that one?
Like I came to the realization. Yeah, I can't.
Oh no, he's walking it back. He's walking it back. Go ahead, K-Dot.
There's a reason hey, there's still a reason it's number one on MrSkin.com.
And there it is. Here is.
And what I'm saying is, if you unpack that, we got problems in the society that we need to work on. All right.
Oh, nice. So you took that and went, you know what? We got a problem together, and we're all part of the problem. Go to the Nathan Perry one more time. All right, separate football comment. All right, serious now. In line with our fan base shaking off our past trauma and being more optimistic, the Fox broadcast also said something that rang true. Nnamdi Daniels threw a goal line interception. The defense forces a 3-and-out. Our offense comes back out, and he said it felt like the Browns only delayed the inevitable. It's precisely how I feel with this team right now. We're far from perfect, but we're still growing. There will be down moments, but they will only be momentary. This team's success is inevitable. That is the comment from Nathan Perry, who, once again, one of the hosts of Ref the District. Please watch them. He's also in a play, I believe, in Oklahoma where he lives. So good. Well, you say break a leg on the play thing. So, but Nathan, that's awesome. That is awesome. K-Dot, go ahead.
Stay away from saying things like legs breaking when talking about this team.
No, it was in reference to the play.
There's certain phrases should
reference
be used,
to Nathan. Okay,
we're all trying to be better. We're trying to
You're
be
right.
better. We all
You're
have.
right.
We're all works.
You're right.
You know
what? You're right. You're right.
It's a whole thing.
Some of us get it when we're wrong. Go ahead.
I don't like how this episode has turned out. I don't like that. I'm probably getting better in my personal life as far as taking care of myself. And now it just means that I'm going to get trashed.
I do feel bad that I'm exploiting the holes here as you're doing significantly good work on yourself.
Go back to being depressed. It'll be 2 weeks from now. I'm in a bind. I need some money. All right? If you want that version of me back, fine, motherfucker. Bring it. All right? So, cool. All right. But to Nathan's point,
good point.
Inevitability. We have things in place. It is inevitable. I don't give you a timeline, but I'm telling you, we are going to be Super Bowl contenders. It is happening. You just start the countdown. Once again, I don't know what to set it on, so maybe count up, but it's coming.
It's coming. I firmly believe that too. I think we've got a lot of the foundational pieces in place. Where do we go from here? And again, the litmus test this Sunday. We go over to Cody Bryant. Shout out. Fun fact, Lamar is 21-3 all time against the NFC. I'll do you one better, Cody. 2 of those losses, he came in relief in a loss. So he's 21-1. Okay? So let's make him 21-4, baby. Once again, we can amend that to 21-2 as a starter. Let's fucking go. I couldn't tell you if I've ever felt this confident going into a game like this. So Cody is all in here, K-Dot. And I think a lot of fans are. Once again, you mentioned all the hype videos that are being made right now. The energy in this fan base, people coming back to it as well. It is an electric feeling right now. And a lot of fans are feeling really, really good about it.
Cody, just word of the wise. If you're going to be that positive, there's no reason to drop that stat. Just none.
It's a scary stat. It's a scary stat.
There's absolutely no reason to do that. I get what you're saying, like, we're going to triumph and overcome. You don't need to do that. We all know what's at stake. Yeah, nah, fuck that. Man. I don't like that. Jesus Christ. Also, I don't like. All right. Here's one thing that last week when Baltimore beat Cincinnati, I could breathe because I thought if they lost to Cincinnati, game over. They win by 2 touchdowns next week. I don't give a fuck. I'm not. Did you see what that dumb old bitch did last week in Cincinnati to Lamar? Did you see that video?
Dumb bitch. No. Oh, yes. At the restaurant? Oh. Yup.
The last thing you need to do is give Lamar Jackson bulletin board material. You should probably not do that. That's why I love everything that the Commanders are saying. I love everything that Jayden Daniels has been saying. Anytime that he stepped in front of a microphone this week, knowing what the stakes are, knowing that even on draft night, what did he say? I can't wait to play against Lamar Jackson, right? I can't wait to compete against Lamar Jackson. Shut the fuck up, right? No need. No need at all. I don't like how much the media has been on our nuts. In the sense
it's crazy. Have you seen these power rankings?
And here's also what I'm starting to realize. And I'm not sure. Maybe this is the old PTSD version that, like, I'm not sure. But part of me still feels anytime I hear them blowing smoke, if we lose this game, we're back down to 20.
They're almost setting us up, right? They're just like, look at them. They're so good. They're so cute, etc. We lose one game. We always told you they were trash. We knew
right?
this.
The
absolutely.
only guy that I truly believed when he said it was Chris Long. Chris Long's he's like, dude, this is not giving me any joy in saying this at all. I don't root for them at all, but the kid's special. And when he said this one thing, what did he say? if Jayden Daniels is not a top 5 quarterback out of this year coming on the next, then there needs to be an investigation on what the fuck happened.
Yeah, how did they do it then? How did you
Right.
get this done so quickly? And also, at the flip side, how the hell did you blow it?
Right. What the fuck is
Right.
wrong with you? Right? Like, it's so like when I hear that long form sort of stuff, I love that. But everybody else just feels very fly by night. Maybe it's one of those like the old school hipster in me. Get the fuck off the bandwagon up in here. You need to know my pain. And I don't need to be that. I need to bring everybody else in. I just know it'll be sweeter for me than it will be for them.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. That's the way I would approach bandwagoning fans as well. It's like, okay, yeah, enjoy. But it won't mean nearly as much. And so enjoy your pleasure that you get from it as we continue to root for this team. We conclude with Jess Anto. Shout out, Jess. Take a big gulp, Amit. Once again, that's why I filled this up. So, all right, let's do this. I don't think any of us thought this team would have hit the ground running like it has. I'm sure there are even people in the organization that are surprised at the immediate success. This is not luck by any means. This is real. This has been carefully and methodically planned out since Rivera was coaching last year. When Harris hired Chen and traded Young and Sweat, that was the beginning. Harris carefully hired advisors to oversee the hiring process. His vision had the best talent in the league, leaving long-tenured front office positions to come here. During training camp, people were saying that the coaching staff were communicating like they had been together for years. This whole thing is built on class, respect, hard work, selflessness, commitment, and communication. From the front office, coaches, to the players, this system is entirely sustainable with succession plans in place as well. This offense is unstoppable. It can overcome penalties, turnovers, or mistakes and still put up gaudy numbers. Chicago is already trying to mimic it for Caleb Williams. I thought it was hilarious when the networks compared Daniels and Williams' numbers last week. Daniels only played 3 quarters against a much better defense. Must be noted he won Rookie of the Week again, so they took that into account. Chicago surrounded Williams with talent. Washington surrounded Daniels with excellent coaching, early media protection, education, a developmental plan, leadership, and a lack of overwhelming expectations. He essentially has 3 personal coaches between Kingsbury, Pritchard, and Johnson. Love copied Daniels by wearing a throwback Favre jersey to a game. He's breaking records while making it look effortless. The defense has had the majority of the growing pains. They had the larger group of holdovers from the Rivera regime, and there was a ton of unlearning that needed to be done before they could get Witt and Quinn's system down. They're starting to hit another gear and are starting to look awfully physical up in here. We as Washington fans are accustomed to cautiously getting our hopes up only to have our still beating hearts ripped out of our chests. Always waiting for the other shoe to fall. It's not happening anymore. For once, we are the cream of the crop. We are the ones to be emulated, and we are the big swinging dicks in the locker room. Jackson is not going to be able to keep pace with Daniels, and Luvu is going to light Henry's high running ass the fuck up. Commanders 42, Ravens 28. Share this shit. And a salute. HTTC, presumably.
You can tell about one of Gibbs's disciples right there. Every time we get a Jess Santo comment, I'm always curious to ask Jess, what do they do for a living? I don't think I want to know anything other than like they're a prophet. They're like,
it was a magical comment. I mean,
right?
It was so well written.
Did you feel that? I felt that. I felt it.
Dude, I took the big gulp. I listen when it's Jess.
That's just, man. It's good. It's a good time. It's good to know that we stuck it out in this bitch for as long as we did. Probably should have left at certain points, but we stuck it out. And now, well, we're here. Look at us.
Yeah. Look at us. Look at us.
Good feeling.
Look at us. It is a great feeling. And this was the show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode, which featured the All-22 review. Shout out to K-Dot once again for it. That was against the Cleveland Browns. And then the preview against the Baltimore Ravens this coming Sunday, which a lot of people are saying is game of the year up to date. So I'm Amit, that is K-Dot. And if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do. And K-Dot,
find Sam Hartman and give him a kiss from me. And then share this shit.
Share this shit.
Battle of the Beltway!
Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, $1.20, huh? After the pod begins right
All right.
now. All right, let's make it like 2 minutes. Tony, I have not seen the Joker. I obviously have not seen the Joker. Just wanted to be clear on that. But I've also heard bad things about it. I've heard bad things about it. I was not anticipating it would be that bad.
I can't say anything without getting into spoiler territory.
Why do they keep remaking the same types of movies over and over and over and over and over? It's like we already have a Joker.
It's not the problem.
You don't think that's the problem?
I know it's not the problem.
All right, explain that to me.
I can't. It's a spoiler.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, then what do you want?
I know what happens.
We got a minute.
I know what happens in the movie. It's just that's not. Look, all right. If you understood what I gotta say, if you understood what it was, the people did as far as the last movie and the reaction to it and the conversations about the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Phillips did not like that. The director of these movies.
Oh, okay.
What it feels as though is that he is reacting to everyone's reaction to the first movie. And because he actively didn't like this movie is kind of his version of saying, fuck you.
I respect that.
I don't know if I respect it fully just because the amount of money it took to fucking make this movie.
No, I respect that. I'm with that.
I got to see it for my own merits. I mean, the last movie I saw was Megalopolis, which I liked it, but I know a lot of people that I loved it, but I know a lot of people that absolutely hated it, and I understand. I get it. I understand why they did. But from what I've been told about this movie from some people I really, really respect, I think I'll have an understanding or respect for Todd Phillips, but I'd also say, dude, you need to get a healthier handle on shit. So because what I've been told is the ending of this movie. I'm like, what?
Damn, all right. So it's like that, huh?
Okay. Look, there are certain movies I don't want to hear anything about before I go in because I want to have my own purview with it.
It's like the All-22.
Yes, but I actually appreciated hearing what I heard about Joker, this new Joker movie before I got it. I really did. I think it'll help me.
Sounds good. Kid up before we leave, if you had to put a percentage probability on the likelihood we upset the Ravens in your head, what is it?
45%.
Look at us. I literally had 45% in my mind. So
I think it can't be past the halfway mark, but it's like
correct.
I feel the thing that I'm trying to weigh, and this is where it gets dicey. And I don't want to go. I know we can try to wrap this up, but
that's fine.
Where does our Commander PTSD stop compared to the hype that we're hearing from everybody else? Can we like the reaction that we have with everybody and feeling like they're setting us up? Because every other time they ever hyped us up, we knew the bad shit was happening, and we knew that the same people that were giving us praise were clowning us the moment they have to be able to clown us, right?
Well, yeah. Fuck. You've opened up a lot of things for me. Like a lot of things.
Well, if they're being honest, about their assessment, right?
Yeah.
I think they're even being kinder than we are. I know they're being kinder than me in watching the tape and like finding everything I possibly can do to grill them about what's happening.
Yeah.
You can't look when you're watching the All-22 and you're trying to get takeaways from it. There's nothing, you don't really have an option but to be critical about what it is you're seeing, right? So but when you hear other people talk about it, and people I respect, some more than others, and they're all like, "No, it's legit. It's legit," and I'm like, I don't know if I can trust you, but it's like because I know I've heard you clown my team. So, but like, if we're just being objective about it, maybe we should buy in more than we're buying.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So this is a PTSD game in many respects. Now that I'm realizing it, as you had said that, because one, if we win this game and we go to 5-1, I think it eviscerates a whole lot of PTSD. Because when was the last time we were 5-1?
It's over. What? It's not
gone.
just 5. It's 5-1 with what? The division games in Pittsburgh. That's it.
Right. Right. Isn't that amazing? Like, and so there's that.
And if we beat Baltimore, there's not anyone can tell me that we can't beat Dallas.
Next 2 games are Carolina and Chicago.
Dude.
After that, like I mean, all of a sudden you reframe the entire schedule, like we were talking about the pod changes. The other aspect of this, and knock on wood, because this did not come up until you said that, and then it triggered the memory. This was 12 years ago, right? Because this is the cycle of the number 2 overall picks. It tends to coincide with when we play the AFC North. Why? Don't know, but it just is.
Yeah, the Baltimore game. I know
the Baltimore game.
Well, yeah,
and I don't even want to say it. But that's
why I told you to rephrase what it is you said about Nathan. That's been in the back of my head all fucking day.
Yeah, got it. Now that makes a lot of sense as well. Shit, didn't put that together. Really didn't put that together. Amit saying, take it back.
Look, we've only played Baltimore in the regular season since they've existed 7 times. That's it.
Right.
You remember a lot of it. You remember a lot of it. And there are only but a few big moments. And they're not great.
I just got stressed. Okay. New goal. New goal. 44-0 is now fine with me. Just please don't.
I'm not going to say it. Dude, you just got to. It's like all we're praying for the whole season.
PTSD.
Health and learning. That's it. Health and learning. And what is so nice is that we are seeing literally in real time, faster than any of us could ever expect it, implementation of learning.
Yes, that is true. And we will see how that continues to take place this Sunday. I need to get off this microphone because I'm gonna say something I shouldn't. So we will see you guys next time. Take it easy.
Bye, everybody.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.